everybody, and welcome to another ASMR video here on the channel. Now for tonight's video, I have zero plan whatsoever. Essentially, I got out of watching Fantastic Four a couple of hours ago. Spoiler, I enjoyed it. so much so that I just essentially wanted to sit down and talk about it and the other two superhero movies we've had this year, and essentially just geek out, nerd out together. I know these videos don't get as many views, but I don't care. We do all sorts here, and I know some of you are fellow nerds like myself out there. I had not planned to do this video at all, but I'm excited again. I want to talk about it. So I'll be talking through all three movies. There will be no spoilers. If I accidentally ramble and get incited and spoil something, I'll cut it out. I hate nothing more than those channels or videos that say it's a movie review, but then all they do is just regurgitate the plot and just say a ton of spoilers. Just regurgitating what has happened isn't reviewing. But this isn't going to be. I mean, I will give my kind of scores for the movies, for the three superhero movies, but as I haven't prepped any notes, probably going to be more rambly in nature, but I just wanted to talk essentially about superhero movies in general. So hopefully you enjoy, hopefully you find it relaxing, and I think this video is going to come out. I mean, I'm filming this on Thursday, the UK release date. I think this video is going to come out next Tuesday or something, so. But let's still try and keep spoilers out of the comments. So, I think to be honest, a good place to start would be my general sentiment towards superhero content, predominantly Marvel, because DC kind of hasn't been a major game player for a little while now. Long story short, and I think a lot of people are suffering in the same way, I was pretty sick. I was growing sick of superhero movies. Like, a part of me thought maybe I'm just growing up. Am I growing out of Marvel? But actually no. I think I was just kind of growing tired of them. I'd say lackluster movies. I wouldn't say there have been any necessarily horrific movies put out over the last couple of years, but I think the quality dipped. I think they stretched themselves too thin with the shows and whatnot. It became too much to keep up with, and I just lost interest. I'd still go to every movie release and have fun. Like, it's not that deep. But I wasn't really as invested, and I wasn't getting as excited about Marvel movies as I kind of once used to. I think that's fatigue. I just wanted to have a look. And actually remind myself of like all the Marvel movies released recently. Where are we? So we're in. So Fantastic Four was the start of Phase 6. Interesting. So Phase 5 we had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I mean, it wasn't great, but I low-key didn't hate it as much as other people did. But again, it wasn't one that I'm ever really going to go back to, especially as Kang is leading nowhere. Guardians Volume 3, obviously incredible. The Marvels was fine. I'm generally terms of my ranking on both Marvel's movies, Deadpool and Wolverine was obviously a lot of fun. Captain America Brave New World, like, I don't know if it's more of a case, apart from Guardians, I don't particularly care too much about these characters. I've never been a big Captain America fan, but I thought Brave New World, you know, it was fine. I was obviously excited for Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was a lot of fun. And Guardians Vol 3, but I think it's potentially, as I'm kind of talking it out loud, you guys, my Marvel therapy, I think it was actually less. It probably goes further back a little bit, and it was less the movies being the issue, but more the TV shows and the stuff coming out, which I just haven't kept up with, except Daredevil, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But the end of Phase 5 was Thunderbolts, and, like, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine, but it was kind of just like a fun cinema experience. Like, as a movie, it's not great, it doesn't look great, but it was packed full of cameos and it's fun and it's funny kind of thing. It's not like an amazing movie. And then Brave New World was just like, meh, fine. But Thunderbolts was really what got me excited about superhero movies again, like, because I kind of initially thought, oh, maybe I'm growing up out of the superhero genre, but actually, I think I just wanted a good story, and Thunderbolts, in my opinion, is incredible. I mean, I absolutely loved it. Like, it made me excited for Marvel movies again, and to be honest, superhero movies in general. Like, I was anticipating Superman, but I wasn't that excited. But Thunderbolts, like, revived, it really revived that kind of passion. I think if I go on Letterboxd, so I think that segued nicely into talking out of the first of the 3 superhero movies, because Thunderbolts came out first back in May, I believe, which doesn't feel all that long ago, to be fair. Where are we? Thunderbolts, so it's got a 3.7 on Letterboxd. I mean, spoiler, I gave it 5 stars. Now, I've explained this before in other Letterboxd videos that I've done, I rank superhero movies different to, like, non-superhero movies, because realistically, Thor Ragnarok is my favourite MCU movie. Thunderbolts is up there though, by the way. So I give that 5 stars, but then you can't compare Thor Ragnarok to Dune 2 or Oppenheimer, or, you know, those kind of movies. I mean, you can, and that's why, you know, these superhero movies a lot of them don't have like 4.5 stars and above, whatever. But that's just the way I personally do it. I kind of have like separate rankings. It's probably stupid, but whatever. But I gave Thunderbolts 5 stars, and actually I think as a movie, it's pretty good if you take the kind of superhero movie aspect out of it. I think what this movie does so well is make you care about the characters so much. Like, how they establish the dynamic between the group is incredible. I would die for Bob. I really hope that we see more of him moving forward, and all the Thunderbolts, to be honest. Like, by the end of it, I was completely and utterly sold on them as a group and as friends, really. And it dives into some quite deep, in my opinion, deep emotional subject matter that MCU movies hadn't done previously. It was shot beautifully, the set pieces were great, the score is so damn good. It's so damn good. I think I saw it 3 times in cinemas, and each time I just felt it got better. The soundtrack is an amazing one to listen to in the gym as well. I thought everything about it is just fantastic. Florence Pugh is one of my favourite actors. She is so good. I mean, I've been a fan of her for a while, but I feel like the last few years she's just like upped it. She was so good in We Live in Time. But Thunderbolts, I absolutely loved it. It really, in my opinion, was a breath of fresh air. And one thing I was skeptical about was in some of the promotional videos, they leaned into the whole how they had crew members who had done, like they marketed it like an A24 film, and I was like, kind of bold to kind of present your superhero movie as, a completely different studio's production. But I see why they did it, and you could definitely, this didn't feel like the Marvel movies of late, like very green screen heavy, like it felt real. And it felt like what they were doing was very grounded and mattered. Like, this isn't really a major spoiler, but the scene where they're lifting that heavy, like a bit of rubble, in the grand scheme of the multiverse, a bit of rubble and saving one person doesn't matter. But that's what sold me on it, on them as a group. Like, that is what it's all about. So Thunderbolts, yeah, I gave 5 stars. It's very, very high on my ranking. Where's, post Endgame, I've got it top, followed by Shang-Chi and then Guardians 3. I know Shang-Chi over Guardians 3 possibly a crazy take, but I love Shang-Chi. I think it's absolutely wicked. So, overall, loved Thunderbolts. Probably revived my interest and passion for superhero movies for sure. So that brings us on to Superman. So obviously the beginning, the restarting of the DCU. Now, I love DC. I think there are some super cool characters in DC, and I have full faith now that James Gunn is going to bring loads of them to life, for sure. And I've never been a huge Superman fan. Bottom line, I don't really like goody superheroes. I like the superheroes with a bit more grit, so I don't really like Captain America. Not a huge fan of Superman. Always been a Batman fan over Superman. But David Corenswet and James Gunn sold me on Superman completely. This movie is fantastic. I gave it I gave it a 4.5 stars, I think. It blew me away. I went to watch it on the day of release, and then 2 days later when I watched it in IMAX, because I was like, oops, I've just got to experience it on the biggest screen and the best sound possible. The score is phenomenal. It looks gorgeous. And I can say the exact same thing for Fantastic Four. Both Superman and Fantastic Four look like they've been ripped straight out of a comic book. And that's so nice. You get those Snyder cultists comparing Man of Steel to Superman, in terms of how it looks, like goofy or whatever, but it's not goofy, it's just colourful. Man of Steel was just grey. That isn't a hate on Man of Steel, because because I'm a Man of Steel defender. I love that movie. One of my favourite scores ever. I get the criticism it's not a good Superman movie. Maybe that's true. I haven't read enough comics to tell. But I love that movie. But I'm not a Snyder, restore the Snyderverse idiot. Superman. I was just hooked straight away. Absolutely straight away. And this is why the DCU is in the best hands possible with James Gunn. He is the best at giving multiple characters their moment to shine and making you care about characters you probably thought were going to be, a side character not that important, or just like you'd be neutral on. Mr. Terrific, I need a TV show. He was so freaking cool, so cool. And Nicholas Hoult, I was a little bit skeptical about him playing Lex Luthor, but honestly, one of the best, villain performances ever. I mean, people already putting him in like the top 4, like Mount Rushmore. You can't be doing that yet, but I've no doubt that he'll be back in future movies and projects. But then maybe he will have a case, which I think he will. Nicholas Hoult is just a phenomenal actor. But yeah, I thought the action was good. Like I say, even the set pieces, not just the way it looked, but the way it was filmed, felt like it was taken from the pages of a comic book, which I love. Sometimes, I'm watching a movie about a man who can fly and has super strength. Sometimes I don't want that movie to look as realistic as possible. Guy Gardner, incredible. I think my main criticisms of the Superman movie were, number one, sometimes the CG was a little bit I haven't seen many criticisms of this, but the Cube River, like the Photon River thing, some of the cuts in that and the shots in that, I had no clue what was going on. It's very difficult to decipher what's actually happening. And for me, some of the more emotional beats kind of missed. They felt like, I don't know, a little bit kind of rushed and not necessarily earned. That wasn't as much of an issue for me the second time of watching though. But I think the relationship between Lois and Clark is fantastic in this movie. And I've been listening to that. Is it by Iggy Pop? Punk Rocker, I'm a Punk Rocker. More than I would care to share. Fantastic ending, but yeah. I think really, while I didn't give it a perfect score, I think you couldn't really get more perfect in terms of starting a new cinematic universe. It was 100% the right call not to do an out-and-out origin story. Having the world already lived in and populated by tons of, superhumans was definitely the way to go, and I have no doubt that in projects upcoming we'll get flashbacks and some more establishing stuff. Really excited for Lanterns, really excited for that. Peacemaker as well, love Peacemaker. But I mean, people are going to compare, or what's better, Thunderbolts or Superman, Fantastic Four, or what's better, MCU or DCU. Not to be really cringe, but let's just enjoy both. Let's just be thankful that it's not just Marvel providing the goods. In theory, fingers crossed. Anyway, that's the hope. But yeah, yes, I enjoy Thunderbolts more than Superman. I know a lot of people will say that's crazy, but I don't know. It's just that. It's that thing with movies being so subjective. There are just certain movies that you can't necessarily put your finger on it, but it just strikes a chord with you and becomes one of your favourites ever. A good example for that with me is Moneyball. I don't like baseball. It's not a particularly exciting movie, but it's in my top 4 of all time because I just adore it. There's something so comforting about it, and Thunderbolts just hit the right emotional chords with me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So we now move on to the last of the 3 movies, Fantastic Four, which obviously has only recently just come out. Now I gave it 4 stars. I've watched Superman twice, Thunderbolts 3 times, and obviously Fantastic Four once, so maybe I'll be higher on it, but I don't anticipate. I can't score it higher than Superman, and I definitely can't score it higher than Thunderbolts. But I loved it. I thought it was excellent. The fact that, you know, for me a 4-star, 4-star superhero movie is 3rd in my list for movies just this year is really why I wanted to make this video. Like, to go 3 for 3, I know different studios, whatever, on superhero movies this year is so exciting, and it's definitely meant that, you know, I'm still excited for superhero movies moving forward. Praise the Lord. I haven't grown up out of it. I think when that happens, shoot me. But I loved it. The main thing, again, it's not on Origin, we get flashbacks, but the world is lived in. The difference to Superman being the Fantastic Four are like the only heroes on Earth, apparently. I think aesthetically it is one of the best looking Marvel movies. That kind of retro but futuristic blend just works so unbelievably well. Like, Herbie is this advanced robot, but Reed puts like cassettes in him to get him to run different programs. Like, it's just so good. The best part of the movie for me, though, again no spoilers, don't worry, is how well they establish and sell and make you buy into them as a family. Like, they felt like a family. Silver Surfer, awesome, so freaking cool. There's one scene in particular, which is in the trailers, but I won't talk about it, involving her surfing, which I was like, this might be one of the coolest things in the MCU. Like, it is. I mean, inherently, Silver Surfer, whether it's Shalabal or what's the other one called? I can't remember. Silver Surfer's just an inherently cool character. I think it's difficult to do it wrong, but still gotta give credit where credit is due. Love Matt Shakman, my boy. Director of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. One of my favourite shows ever, but it really was excellent. I think Galactus was done very, very well. Ralph Ineson, just the perfect voice. Why? See, this is all like live processing and thoughts, because I've got no notes. The reason it's an 8 out of 10 and not a 9 or a 10. I think the story is relatively basic, to be honest. I think they revealed so much in the trailers, which I tell myself every time, watch less of the trailers, but each time I just get sucked in. But the plot is pretty basic, and there's a few plot points which I can't reveal in Act 3, where I was just a bit like, okay, it still worked, and it's still a really, really thoroughly enjoyable watch. That's one thing as well. The CG is excellent. Stretchy powers look good, which is hard to do. There's just a couple of instances of wonky CGI, and one really bad one towards the end. I was a bit like, but kind of difficult to do. Personally, I thought there was a lot of criticism about Pedro Pascal being cast as Reed, but honestly, he sold me on it completely. I felt a little bit like The Thing maybe was, out of the four, the most sidelined. Standout for me was Sue. I think Vanessa Kirby is fantastic in this, and Joe Quinn was really good as Johnny, and Johnny has quite a lot of moments to shine in this, which is really good. So yeah, I think the main strength of this movie is it really feels like a family movie that looks great, and it's just like a good superhero story, really. I think it's nice that it feels kind of disconnected from the rest of the MCU as well, until the credits scene. Obviously I've watched every single Marvel movie, so I know, but sometimes I don't want to be thinking about stuff I've had to have watched in prep. Sometimes I just want to enjoy the movie for being a movie, and it very much stands on its own 2 feet, for sure. But yeah, the family angle, really, really good, and I think what this movie did so well was it has some pretty emotional bits and some serious conversations and scenes, and it actually lets you sit in that emotion and in that seriousness. It doesn't break it up with like a joke or a stupid line or whatever, which various MCU movies are. Oh, we know they're guilty of that. It keeps that serious tone, and it works. It again feeds into the family dynamic. There are some funny moments in the movie, but I wouldn't really describe this as a funny movie. Like, a lot of MCU films do make me laugh like out loud, but I don't think I laughed out loud during this, but that's not a bad thing. I think it's nice. I think it's a good thing. But yeah, I think four stars is still super generous, and it's coming back to what I said, like the fact that a 4-star superhero movie is 3rd out of 3 in a year is just coming into this year in terms of anticipation for movies and my predictions. I was expecting one of the 3 to be a complete flop, and thankfully we didn't have one, in my opinion. I know others will differ. So I've got Thunderbolts first, then Superman, then Fantastic Four. If you've seen all 3 and you've got to this point in the video, let me know your ranking. Just comment your ranking. Let's see. By the way, I'd completely, and also I don't actually think there's a wrong answer. You can make cases for Superman to be first, Thunderbolts to be last. You can make cases for Fantastic Four to be at the top. I don't begrudge anyone who puts whatever in what order. So yeah, a good year for superhero movies for sure. I actually don't think it's been a great year for movies in general. Like, we've had, Final Destination, fun. Sinners is my movie of the year so far and is unlikely to be double, but apart from that I haven't seen anything that blew me away totally. But I'll be doing my end of year movie ranking anyway, as I always do. So looking forward, Marvel, obviously we've got Doomsday next. I'm very intrigued to see how they do this without it feeling so rushed, but I kind of just think it will just be good. I think it will. Then we've got Spider-Man, I think, and then Secret Wars. I think that's right. So we will see. And then DC, we've got Lanterns, we've got Peacemaker, and the next movie I think is Supergirl, which I think might have just wrapped superhero genre. So yeah, all in all, brilliant year for superhero movies, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for tonight's video. Hopefully that wasn't too waffly and, nothingy for you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And yeah, let me know if you've seen all three, what's your ranking, what's your tier list. And that's going to do it for tonight's video. I think next video, is a facts video, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like and subscribe if you're new. And until the next video, everybody,